I was gonna do this commentary over a video of me playing Angry Birds Transformers, but I decided that you guys needed a real, genuine experience of how we talk in this house. So I decided to bring you guys to the kitchen. So we're gonna be talking over me playing Sarah's cooking class instead, which I thought was pretty fitting. So it's actually my turn for talking about the Transformers show where everybody owned race slaves. I came up with that title idea, by the way. You're welcome for the entertainment. So mine is going to be shorter than DJ's for sure. I'm just not into diving into the uh, backstory. Like, if you want the backstory, just go watch the show. As respectfully as I can say it, just go watch the show. What you're going to get in this video specifically is my likes and dislikes on the art, likes and dislikes on the setting, my likes and dislikes of the plot, and my likes and dislikes of the characters. That's all. That's it. That's what we're doing in this video. But I will, however, let him do a recap of the plot just so you can get at least episode 1 in your brain. I'll be back after this message.
So, the main plot of the Transformers show might sound familiar to, well, anybody who's ever seen a Transformers show before. Stop me if you heard this one before. The noble Autobots, the evil Decepticons, Civil War, Cybertron gets torn to shreds. Pretty classic story, right? Well, the same happened here, but there's a new twist with this show. One that would change the history of the franchise forever. You see, this show has the simple but effective addition of minicons. Minicons are small, subservient, like Transformers, that have the very unique ability to power link and combine with a bigger Transformer in order to exponentially increase their power. Now, considering that this is a literal war that we're talking about, I think you can get the why this is appealing to certain nefarious factions, and why certain more benevolent factions would not want them to get those minicons. So yeah, the war was already bad, but minicons just kind of amplify all the damage several fold to the point where everyone was pretty much like, yeah, no, we can't keep this up. So the Autobots and the Minicons work together to ship the Minicons off into space in stasis where they would not be found. Hopefully. However, things didn't exactly go according to plan. While the Minicons were still in stasis lock and completely out cold, things took a turn for the worst when their ship crashed straight into the Earth's moon at top speed and immediately split itself straight in half. Now, half of the ship was sitting there on the Earth's moon, while the other half immediately went careening towards, where else, prehistoric Earth. So, yeah. The Minicon ship kind of just crashed in the middle of nowhere, got tons and tons of dirt and rock, but just buried all over it, and ended up getting completely submerged under a mountain until the present day, where two teenagers of questionable intelligence, Rad and Carlos, decided it would be a good idea to not only look around the alien spaceship, but touch the random glowing green alien space rock. Of course, this was a minicon, and touching it would have very, very dire consequences. So after the glowing ominous white light envelops them both, Rad suddenly realizes he's still holding the glowing green minicon. And as him and Carlos are discussing what just happened, all the Minicon's ship's systems begin to flash back to life, all ominously. And as the glowing white light begins to overtake the entirety of the place, and an earthquake begins due to the ship's reactivation, both Rad and Carlos realize it's probably best if they get out of there ASAP. So, as the Minicon ship sends flares, which are detected by a nearby observatory, it sends 3 beacons out into space. The first beacon crashes straight into the other half of the Minicon ship on the moon, and immediately scatters all the Minicons over the entirety of the planet. So, yeah. The second and third beacons, however, go somewhere rather familiar. Good old Cybertron. The Autobots and Decepticons almost immediately pick up on these beacons and begin tracing them immediately because everybody knows what's about to go down. Now, Rat and Carlos's classmate Alexis begins noticing this obvious earthquake and jumps on her computer to trace the cause of it. She rapidly realizes that this is coming straight from that mountain that Rat and Carlos said they were going to visit and gets a little bit concerned. When she can't get the feedback, guess what caused that? She decides, you know what, forget this, I'm going to go investigate on my own. Like sane people do. So, yeah. The Decepticons have now traced the Minicon signal, and guess who decides to show up personally? Megatron. So, yeah. Megatron is now here himself in the metal? Yeah. And he means business. So, the Minicon that Rat was holding finally decides now's the time for it to wake up from its several thousand-year-old nap. In a dramatic light show, the Minicon panel flashes, slowly forms the Minicon's body, and introduces us to Highwire, who immediately, decides to stretch his legs, take a look at the surroundings, all these humans, and all the stuff that's shown up over the last couple thousand years. Takes one look up, realizes all immediately, oh snap, that's Megatron, this is a bad situation, and begins to scan Rad's bike, with the different schematics of the bike showing up in his visor before he transforms and immediately begins to make a run for it, as, any sane person is wanting to do in this situation. So, as the humans have finally regained their sense of self-preservation, they decide to go with Highwire because obviously Megatron's sus, and they rapidly book it. However, Megatron annihilates them by throwing a pebble at them, taking out all three of them and Highwire. So, yeah. Now, Highwire's out cold. The humans are obviously humans fighting Megatron, and it's just, it's all bad. But at the last second, guess who shows up but Optimus Prime himself. And I don't think that I need to really tell you what happens next. But I will anyway. They throw hands. And as the struggle for the fate of the universe is going on right in front of them, rather than doing the same thing and running away because they are completely out of their depth, these humans kind of just sit there and watch it all go down.
Now, to be fair, which is not something I do very often to these characters because they're kind of dumb. I don't know if I would run away right away upon seeing two giant robots fighting. It just seems like something that I might watch for a second. So, I don't know. My self-preservation might be on a low scale too, bro. Because I would definitely have to stop and go, yo, what? What is going on here? But these characters still dumb, and we get into that in the characters portion. But first, let's head over and talk about the art. So the art of Armada is very interesting to me, and one of the reasons that I was even persuaded to watch the show in the first place, because it was explained to me that this was a Transformers anime. And if you know one thing about me, which you probably don't, so I'll tell you, is that I like Transformers and I like anime. These two things combined is an intriguing topic. So when I started watching this show, we were introduced to the kids first. And I'll just say, right off the bat, I was amused. And I'll tell you why I was amused. You see this blonde kid over here? This blonde kid's hair, bro. Every time I look at this blonde kid's hair, I'm reminded of a specific Pokemon. And I promise you, that little giggle that gave me when I first started watching it was enough to make me continue the show. I genuinely was like, what is this Pokemon head kid gonna be up to? I need to know. I also found his friends pretty interesting because he has this little Mexican friend that he runs around with, Carlos. And Carlos's eyes are like lacking like the same definition as everybody else's. And I didn't know if that was to make him look dumber or like I don't know why. But it was interesting enough for me to go, well, why are his eyes different? Um and stick around for a few more episodes. There's also Alexis, who is their little girly friend, and she has brown hair, which I found to be probably one of the most interesting things, period, out of this whole character, um, this whole group of characters. Because I don't like, I watched a decent amount of anime, and I have yet to see a brown haired character besides Alexis. So I don't know. That that made me like, I feel like the colors along with the drawings themselves make up what an art style really is. And I think the coloring of everything was so interesting. Specifically Megatron. Megatron, when he came onto the scene, he was really the real character that made me go, "Oh, um, this might be an interesting show," because he has like these little horns, this little football, field goal horns on his head, and I'm still yet to figure, like, I still have yet to figure out why these things are a thing, but they're very anime. They're very anime. For sure. You know what else is very anime? Optimus Super Mode. He looked just like Gundam, and I think that's pretty cool. Because Gundam is really, really a chill looking robot, to be honest. um, I thought that was dope, bro. It felt like a callback to a really cool, really robotic looking robot. Right. So that was actually a really important thing that I think was conveyed with this art that I wanted to talk about after rambling for like 4 minutes. It's the contrast between the roboticness of the mini cons and the almost human faces of the Transformers themselves. I noticed that after my mom pointed out that they had almost human like faces and it was freaking her out. I was like, oh, they kind of do look human. And it gives such a wide range of emotion and allows you to like connect more with the Transformers and kind of disconnect from the mini cons, which I think actually serves the plot pretty well. Okay, so let's skip on over and talk about the setting. Because I think it kind of ties into art, right? Like the setting is only something that you would see if you were watching it with your eyes. So it ties into the art. So there's not really much to say about the setting of this show, considering um it's just kind of the middle of nowhere. From what I have been told, it's a place called Lincoln, USA. And it just looks like the kind of place where nothing weird ever really happens, which makes it kind of the perfect location for something weird to happen, with all of the sand craters, just dry desert, and then like a random school and research facility popped right into the middle of it. You could expect that some hidden alien artifacts would lay dormant right in the middle of this place. This is the place where hidden artifacts lay dormant for sure. I appreciate that it kind of feels like the writers knew that this was like a boring, desolate place, because then they added some episodes where you get to go underwater, or you get to explore the city, the old abandoned like city train station, or you get to take the bus over to the town, or you got to go into the jungle. You know what I mean? The moon was a big place. And then like the moon was also kind of boring, so they added a spaceship to the moon. You know what I mean? I like what they did there. I really do. I think the setting added to the plot. I think the settings that they put in added to the plot real good. I'm a high five the writers on that. That was a high five. All right, so that's enough of that setting nonsense. It's time for us to talk about the big boy, the plots. Not the biggest boy, but the big boy. Let's get into it. Now the plot itself, it takes a little bit to get the ball rolling, in my opinion, but the concept of the plot is very interesting because, as quoted from DJ, um, if you've seen Transformers once, you've seen Transformers. But this Transformers show had, I feel like this twist of adding a whole new race of Transformers for them to collect like Pokemon was crazy. Because they didn't really deviate much from the original Transformers plot except for the minicons. You have the Autobots and Decepticons at war. Check. A group of random humans who are going to help the Autobots specifically. Check. And then technically something for the Autobots to find to help them get the upper hand. Check. But it just so happens that the upper hand that we get in this story is like a much bigger stake, which I personally I like. I really liked it. I like the concept very much. Very much. A lot of the time in season one is spent collecting the minicons, which I don't really have a problem with because you get to see each minicon pop out one by one and get to hyperlink with their specific bot, and you get more of a deep dive into the bot's personality, the bots and the cons personalities, than you do the minicons, which kind of makes sense because they're subservient little slaves, which slaves don't get to have personality. You know what I mean? They don't get to like have their moment. So it makes perfect sense to me why they started it off with this collecting. It kind of pushes the issue of what was trying to be pushed in the show, which is these weapons have fallen into our laps. Do we use them or don't we? And then somebody being able to question that thought process from the corner, like, are they really weapons? Or are they their own people? Like, are they their own bot? And I like that it's a existential question hidden in the cartoon is basically what went on here. Because then you get to ask yourself as a human, if you were fighting your worst enemy and it was kill or be killed, if you don't use these weapons, you're dead. And the weapon was crying out to not be used, would you still use the weapon? It actually makes you think. Like the plot of this show, that you can see forming in season one actually makes you think, dude, would I use the minicons even though they're pacifists and don't really want to fight? There's even pieces of the story where the minicons get blamed for being so powerful that Like, how could I not use them? There is an episode where the kids go to Atlantis, the fallen city, and the menacing, in my opinion, the menacing hologram girl from the old ruins of the city leads them to a little room where she tells them, like, don't use the weapons, guys. Don't use the weapons, or what happened to us will happen to you. They were so powerful that we got tempted and we fell to our doom. And it it makes you think, like, at what point are weapons being used responsible for their use? That's another question for the comment section. I need you guys to answer these. This is a conversation, guys. Don't leave me hanging. I personally thought her take was ridiculous, and that if you use weapons to fight a fight against the entirety of the rest of the galaxy and you lose, haha, that's what you get. But that's just me. Yeah, let's head over to characters. This is the final, the end part of the video, guys. It's gonna be the longest though, because I have a lot to say about these characters. Alright, stay with me on this because I'm gonna go down the list and according to how I write about them in my notes. Are you guys ready? Get ready. Rad. Main character, narrator, vanilla. So vanilla. Oh my goodness, this character is so boring to me. He's so boring, bro. He just he's just there, in my opinion. And I don't dislike him. He's just boring. We like Rad. He's boring. Um, yeah. Uh, kind of a jerk in the first episode, in my opinion. But he gets to be the level-headed one of the group, which they kind of need it. Because there's like extreme dumb in their group and extreme smart. And he's just kind of there in the middle. In the middle of Carlos. Always stopping Carlos from doing something dumb. Because Carlos is frustratingly stupid. He sees danger and he hops in like it's the deep side of the pool. I don't understand it at all. Because in episode 1, Carlos actually seemed to be relatively normal. He goes, Rad, I don't know about touching that glowing green rock. Rad, I don't know about going into the cave. Rad. And Rad kind of like, hey, shut up, Carlos. But every episode after episode 1, Carlos just got dumber and dumber to the point where even you on the outside of the screen, wanting to be fair to everybody, still is like, is this kid talking again? Is he really gonna open his mouth and say something super stupid? And then he did every single time. One person who's probably the most vocal about Carlos's stupidity is Alexis. Alexis Alexis is the only girl in the group and she feels very superior to everyone. Intellectually, mostly intellectually, because they act dumb. They act pretty stupid. Alexis is pretty sure of herself, but she's also went okay, so I did not give her a lot of credit when I first started watching the show because her character kind of reminded me of Sakura, and I hate Sakura. I despise Sakura. So I didn't give her a lot of credit, but she does actually show her skills at the beginning of this show, and it kind of makes her more likable as the show goes along. Anyway, uh, very sure of herself, very stuck up at the beginning of the show, which I hated. But as it goes along, you see her being Den Mother, and as someone who played Den Mother way too many times to a group of goofballs, I felt her. I felt her on that. Also, down bad for Rat for sure. And as a girl, I saw that. And as a girl, I felt that. I felt being there for the boy that was doing something stupid, even though it was stupid. I felt that. I sympathized with her. I was her. I was you, Alexis. I feel you. First bot that they run into is Highwire. Highwire is a tiny little boy, um, but he's super cool. I like Highwire. Highwire is probably the best minicon in the entire show. Quote me on that, because I will fight you. Um, I will fight you. Highwire is the best. Highwire for president. Highwire is calm, collected, chill, and down for whatever, to be honest. He sets boundaries. We love a boundary setting bot. Turn up. What is this? Bro, what is this review, bro? I'm having too much fun at work. Anyway, then we have Grindor and Shore Shock. No disrespect to them. They're very much needed to form Perceptor, who is honestly the best combo, but period. But Grindor and Shore Shock on their own, they don't really tickle my fancy. They're just kind of ratting along in the vanilla ice cream department, if you know what I mean. Tasteless, bland. Sorry about it. Really, really, no disrespect. Billy and Fred, they're not worth splitting apart. They're two peas in a really jammed up pot. They're stupid. They're stupid characters. Um, Billy is a bully, but not really like bully enough to actually be scary or to be looked upon with any respect. And Fred is the fat kid, and the fat jokes roll on constantly with this kid to the point where I want to bang my head on the wall. No bueno, 0 out of 10 characters. Sorry about it. So upon collecting my boy Highwire, they bump into Megatron. Megatron in Transformers Armada is hilarious. He is a disrespectful, menacing, gaslighting, terrible boss. He's awful. He's evil. And I respect that out of a Decepticon. 10 out of 10 villain. Love it. You know where Megatron is. There has to be Optimus Prime. Optimus Prime in Transformers Armada Season 1 was a Boy Scout ruthless fighter who would run over, throw, or shoot anybody on sight because they're in his way. And I personally found this to be the most hilarious Optimus Prime I ever had the pleasure of watching, because you really ran somebody over, sir. You really rammed into Megatron as a truck. Beautiful. Bro also got mad politician skills, and I'm sure he got a PR team behind him, because every time Rad asked him if he was gonna slave the minicons like the Decepticons did, bro hit him with the most well prepared speech he had in his back pocket. And I know I said Highwire for president, but I could see Optimus running way before him. Optimus rolls out with a group, specifically two big homies, Hot Shot, the the child of the group. Mm, Hot Shot is special. Hot Shot is special to my heart, because I want to choke him out so bad. I want to choke Hot Shot out so bad. Bro is hot headed. He's impulsive. He he holds grudges. He's petty. He's cool. He's cool in battle though. He likes children. and he's personable, and I want to choke him. Goodness gracious, he makes the job so hard. Watching him on screen makes me want to go and get into the show just so I can hit him a few times and then release myself from the stress of being in the show with him. I'm sorry. Violence is usually not the answer, but when it comes to hot shot, a little violence now and then is relished by the wisest. Yeah. Get him out my face, son. I don't hate him. I just hate him. The group is saved because there's one shining star that they roll out with, and that's Red Alert. Red Alert is the best bot in the entire show. Red Alert is the guy. You know the guy. You know the guy. It's Red Alert. Red Alert is the tactician. Red Alert is a fighter. Red Alert fixes everything. Red Alert is their IT guy. Red Alert is a babysitter. Red Alert is the therapist. Red Alert is Red Alert. Red Alert is the guy. Red Alert is the guy. He's my favorite. And like, you know how never mind. Let me just let me stop fangirling over Red Alert and head over to the next character because I'll stay on Red Alert all day. Red Alert's great. Red Alert 15 out of 10. Megatron rolls 3 deep. It has a squad comprised of mostly idiots. There's Demolisher, the loyal idiot, and Cyclonus, the insane idiot. And honestly, they stick together like glue and stick at the hip of Megatron. There's not much to say about them except they're his little puppies. He disrespects them on every level, and they're like, "Yes, Megatron, whatever you say, Megatron." And they're boring. They're boring to me. I don't even remember which one is which half the time. I look up like ID. Which one is this? Cyclonus. Ah, okay. And I'm back to not remembering. I assume Cyclonus is the one that turns into a helicopter. But that's all I got. That's all I got. I and that was like just on context clues. The one interesting minion that Megatron has in this story is Starscream. Now, if you watch Transformers, Starscream is a staple character. But this Starscream really made this Starscream did it for me. I like this Starscream. I liked Prime Starscream, but this Starscream is my favorite Starscream because this Starscream reminds me of Zuko. This Starscream is the banished prince looking for his honor, and he has a disrespectful father. Because Megatron disrespects him even more than he disrespects Cyclonus and Demolisher. He does not have any respect for Starscream. And personally, I think it's because Megatron is trying to keep his foot on his neck just so he won't try to rise above. But that's just me. That's just my opinion. We like Starscream though. This Starscream is dope. Yeah, he like doesn't even lose his fights, which is a plot point in the story. Like, oh, dude is actually a decent warrior, and he's mega disrespected. So you kind of root for him a little bit, and you want him to come over to the Autobot side. And I can't say whether he does or doesn't because this is a season 1 review. Wink. Late in the season, we get a beautiful new addition to the bots team because they were looking a little outnumbered. And that's my boy Smokescreen. He came in, he put in work, He proved that he was big and tough and strong. We love Smokescreen. Smokescreen's cool. He's like the veteran. He's like a veteran of the group. And he comes in, no nonsense, does the thing, and goes about his way. We like him. He saved the kids. They would have died. We're team Smokescreen for sure. If it wasn't Highwire for president and it wasn't Red Alert for president, it would be Smokescreen for president. Okay. Now we rapid fire mini cons. First, we got Leader One. That is Megatron's minicon. Leader One is a sad, sad soul. We love Leader One because we feel bad for Leader One. Leader One deserves freedom. Free my boy Leader One. Um, he just wants to experience life, even if it's stuff that he can't even really utilize, like eating a chip. He wants that. I feel bad for him. Free Leader One. Sparkplug is Optimus's minicon. Sparkplug is like super by the book. We like that guy though. He looks cool. He looks like a cop. Officer Sparkplug. We like him. Jolt is that is Hot Shots minicon, and we like that he always comes to the rescue of Hotshot because sometimes Hotshot is stupid. Long Arm is Red Alert's minicon. We don't really get to see much of Long Arm, but he's useful when in a pinch, you know. Swindle is Starscream's minicon. I don't really have much to say about Swindle, except for it took Starscream so long to get Swindle that I feel like those two should be together. He had to go through so much to get a minicon. He was disrespected, stepped on, spat at, basically. He deserves his minicon. So there's that. I I never knew that Cyclonus's minicon's name was Crumple Zone, but I'll tell you right now, that is one of the worst names I have ever heard in my entire life. There's nothing else to be said about Crumple Zone. I'm sorry, Crumple Zone. You didn't really do anything specifically to me, but that's a terrible name. It's awful. Then there's Demolisher's minicon Blackout. I don't really see much from Blackout except probably shooting at the bots. Um, but I'm pretty sure Blackout is the name of a real Transformer, and they were just doing like a callback to Blackout. Which, all right, I guess that's cool. That's it. That's uh, that's the characters. We're done here. I really appreciate you guys rolling with me while as I just ramble on about how I feel about this show. It was fun, especially when we got to the characters portion. I had so much fun. Thank you for stopping in. Thank you for staying. If you got to this end part, I just want to say thank you for watching any of our videos at all. If you watched part one, thank you for that. We have just become partners, YouTube partners, thanks to the support. So consider this a 12,000 subscriber special. It was special for sure. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.